Um, all right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here in Essentials for Peace and Balance. And we are here today for a little panel discussion on the love connection. So, we're going to talk about strengthening bonds that uplift you. And of course, I'm Cindy. I'm the founder of this group, Essentials for Peace and Balance. And I just want to welcome you here. I'm so happy to have you here, especially here at the end of the month. It's the end of February. And of course, February is a month that invites us to reflect on love in all of its forms. And so today we're going to be focusing on how to create meaningful, positive relationships, not just with others, but most importantly, with ourselves. And I think we all know that the foundation for any healthy, fulfilling relationship is going to begin within. So, relationships can also evoke so many emotions, from deep, deep joy and fulfillment, even to frustration and heartache. And so, I feel like it's important that we have some strategies in place to be able to navigate the challenges that might come up, to be able to set healthy boundaries and to cultivate meaningful connections. So, we are going to talk about how to nurture our relationship with ourselves. And I'm so excited today to have two relationship coaches with us. And they are going to share their wisdom on how to turn everyday moments into opportunities for connection. And of course, we're going to focus on starting with the most important relationship we have, and that is the relationship with ourselves. So, Kim, it looks like I'll have Kim De Silva go first. And if you'd like to share a short intro and tell us a little bit about your area of expertise.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kim De Silva. I'm a marriage mentor for women. And what does that even mean? Well, I help you bring the love, romance, and support back to your marriage, kind of like when you were dating, but better because you're older and wiser now. And
Mm,
um, I started doing marriage mentoring several years ago, and because my husband and I have always just been that couple that people come to when they are looking for some sort of advice around their relationships. We've been together for this year will be 25 years. And it's yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes those daily intentional habits that we may take for granted sometimes it's those tools and understanding what those tools are and helping others understand them and use them as well. That's what we
yes. Wow. 25 years. Yeah. My hubby and I are celebrating. Of course, this is my second relationship. So, but we celebrated we'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. So
Oh,
we got,
wow.
we got married in 2010. No,
Yeah.
we got married in 2000. And so anyway, oh, goodness. All right. So, thank you for sharing that, your intro and telling us a little bit about your background. And Kim Wilson, it's your turn now to tell the people about you.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes, as Cindy mentioned, my name is Kim Wilson. I am a relationship coach. I have taken my experience as a licensed professional counselor of 18 years and decided for those individuals who are not ready to pick up the phone and say, I need a session, to offer workshops and coaching sessions because I do believe there's nowhere we're going to go in life where we don't find a relationship. So I help people to build healthy relationships with themselves and others. I've always worked from the framework of tools, strategies, and resources. That's how we solve problems inside of relationships and with ourselves. So I typically work from this framework of keeping on your cap. Those are my tools that I teach inside of my courses, my workshops, and my one on ones with individuals. And so I haven't reached 25 years of marriage like my colleagues here, but I am inside of 18 years of a wonderful marriage with my husband. Yes, absolutely. Out of 18 years, I've never raised my voice at him and he's never raised his voice at me. It doesn't mean we don't get upset with one another. That's just because we've learned how to use tools, strategies, and resources to manage our relationship with ourselves and others.
Correct.
Mm. Absolutely. So, we're talking about the foundation of love. So,
Mhm.
love for yourself, love for others, whatever it might be, self-compassion and self-love, I think, are at the base there. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of cultivating self-love as the foundation for healthy relationships. And so I would like for both of the coaches to spend a little time here sharing some of their insights on how self-love impacts your ability to connect with others. So, Kim De Silva, would you like to go first and share a little bit about that?
Sure. I think one of the ways I see this in particular playing out a lot, it's in an inability to accept compliments. And why I say that, very often I'll talk to ladies and they tell me things like they don't believe their husbands when they say things like, you're so beautiful, or I love you, you're a great mom. Those compliments seem to fall on deaf ears. One thing sometimes they would say things like, he only says some things like that when, when he wants, sex. And one of the things
Mm,
that I found kind of goes beneath on all of that is this disbelief in ourselves. I don't think I'm beautiful. I don't think I'm a good mom. I don't think I'm patient. So when somebody else is telling me those things and paying me those compliments, I can't accept it. And I mean, I know I personally struggle, especially with that good mom comment. I would always replay in my mind, like we've had all these arguments about parenting. Like, how can you turn around there now and tell me I'm a good mom? And it took me a long time to come to that place of self-compassion and self-love and understand that, yes, I am a good mom. I am raising good kids. It's not easy and it's
mm,
frustrating. And I'm just, clocking all of the what I see as failures, but this man here is offering me a gift of a compliment on something that I hold near and dear in my heart. And I just keep rejecting these gifts over and over again. And I think that's a very important piece where that ability to love ourselves, to compliment ourselves, to believe in the good things about ourselves is so important. Because if we don't come from that basis, we can't receive it from others. And then that is our rejection of their view of us. And then to them, sometimes it's interpreted as a rejection of them. So
mm.
I don't know.
Yes, and you know what you brought up too are the children. So I feel like it's also very important that we love ourselves and show that we can accept compliments and be proud of ourselves because we're being an example for our kids as well. So I appreciate you sharing that, Kim, about that. And I agree with you on that. And so, Kim Wilson, how about you? Let's see what some insights you'd like to share with us on how self-love impacts our ability to connect with others.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly echo everything that Kim just shared. When we love ourselves, if we don't, it comes out in our behaviors, our habits, and our patterns, our attitudes. And if self-love is not there, how it shows up, it comes in that self-doubt, and we engage in this nasty little habit called cognitive distortions. That's just a fancy word for negative thinking. There are different kinds of negative thinking. And the one that came up for me when Kim was talking was projecting. So if we don't believe, that word believe is so key. If we don't believe that we're beautiful, if we don't believe that we're worthy and all those things, then because we believe that, we'll start projecting what we feel onto somebody else, like, oh, you don't mean that. That's
Mm,
not true. And just to kind of attach to what you said, Cindy, modeling what self-love looks like, especially in front of our children, because we are the first classroom that they sit inside. We're teaching them either how to love themselves or how not to love themselves. So when they see us being kind, when they see us using tools like boundaries and, lifting our voice and saying, yeah, my voice matters. That's the way of me loving myself, because boundaries is another form of self-love. Yeah.
Mm.
And it certainly impacts how we build relationships with other people and the people that we draw to us. So when our self-esteem is solid, we draw those people who want to collaborate with us, build us instead of use us and manipulate us. So it's so key to have that foundation of a solid self-esteem so we can call what we really want.
Exactly.
Yes. And I would like for us to talk just for a couple of minutes. And if there's anyone who's watching and would like to share their thoughts on this too, what are some practices that nurture our relationship with ourselves? You've already mentioned one, which was the boundaries. The other one that Kim De Silva mentioned about being able to accept compliments. And I also know that being able to be in the moment, instead of being so rushed with all of the responsibilities that you have as maybe a mom, as a wife, as an educator, whatever your position is, sometimes you're just so caught up in the daily activities that you're really not mindful with yourself and with others. And so it's just kind of like everybody's going their own different direction. So I would like for both of you to share on this, and this time we'll let you go first, Kim Wilson, if you'd like to, about some practical strategies for strengthening relationships with ourselves and others through everyday actions. So maybe something that you might recommend or feel is important for us to do on a regular basis, not just like had we mentioned a minute ago, sometimes women think that men are giving compliments just because they want to get cozy. There's things that we can do every single day that have nothing to do with a sexual relationship that can really bolster our connection with other people. So, Kim Wilson, if you'd like to go first and just share a few practical strategies, and then we'll ask Kim to do the same.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say, before I came on here, I had a nerve to eat some beans and I thought I had did a really great flossing. So I found one of those shells just kind of rolling around in my mouth. So while I'm trying to talk, I felt like my mouth was doing this weird thing. So forgive me. So I'm like, interesting to see the playback. Like, my God, how did that bean shell get here? Um, so to answer your question, Cindy, one of the things that I do for me is I have a standing appointment. I get my hair done every single week because that's my time. I love having somebody to wash my scalp. Just that the lather, the shampoo, and when I sit up under the dryer, I get to read some of my ebooks. I get to put my pods in, and that's for me. And I don't want a woman to hear this because your budget may be different and saying, well, I can't get my hair done. But the thing, my point to you is to carve out some time, even if it's 30 minutes of going to the library where the information is free. That's for me. And if you can't go to the library, even if it's just 30 minutes where you can just sit and be still. I hear a lot of women talk about they can't sleep and they want to go to sleep, but the overall goal is to relax. If you've been running around the track for 30 minutes, you are not going to just kind of fall into a sleep after. If you do, that's something else going on. You just kind of passed out there. That's something because the heart rate increased so much. But the goal is to relax, and that's one of the ways that we can show love and compassion to ourselves. Whether it's a walk in nature, nature gives us everything and it doesn't ask for anything back. We can just kind of go sit and listen to the rustle of the leaves and just let that wind stroke our face. And that's for us. Even if it's for 15 minutes, we can feel good about, you know what? I had a goal this week to give myself 15 minutes. I did that, and I'm going to increase that next week. And that's one of the ways that we can love ourselves. And it will make us feel so good to know, check, I did it.
Yes. And it is so important that you bring up the fact that it doesn't have to be an extended time frame, to do it. Just the small little things that you do, it's like giving yourself a hug. And so I do appreciate that, Kim. And how about you, Kim number two?
And I love, what Kim Wilson said about the, check, I did it. And because yes, taking care of yourself sometimes, you do need to put it on your to-do list. And then you get that little dopamine hit when you do it, you check it off the list, right? um in terms of like, small daily habits that you can do to take care of yourself, one of the things that I like to focus on is a gratitude practice. Now everyone has a different way of doing it. You just find the one that works for you. Some people like to journal it out, some people like just to, my personal way is when I wake up in the morning, before I let myself out of bed, I have to lie back there, say a prayer of gratitude. I have to, find the things that I am. And I say have to, but I should really be saying more like I get to. Because the thing is, and it's for everybody, no matter how difficult your situation may be at that moment, that's not your entire reality. And this is why the gratitude practice is important, is to remember that what are the bright spots? What is going well in my life right now? Because you need that, again, that endorphin hit. You need to feel that release of something is positive. I can focus my energies here as well. um and then again, finding those small things that work for you in between. Kim mentioned going to the hairdresser. For me, it's my morning walk or run, and I usually have a podcast. I might have a sermon playing, or I might be listening to an audio book. Just, it's all things that fill me up and help me relax and help me be my best self. But again, you do what works for you in your circumstance. Maybe you're waking up and there's a tiny baby attached to you, and you can't drop the baby and go for a 30-minute walk, or head out somewhere on your own. But what can you do? Do you like to read? The baby is going to nap. Can you steal those 5, 10 minutes for yourself? Even if it's something as simple as, tuning into a favorite television show, listening to two or three of your favorite songs. Where are those pieces that you can give to yourself? And then, yes, check
Mm.
that box. I've done something for me, for nobody else today.
Yes, I love that. And there are other things that you can do. You mentioned having a baby on your hip. One of the things that I wanted to mention was using aromatherapy as a tool for self-care. I have been using essential oils since about 2016, and they can definitely influence your mood, your stress levels, your emotional well-being. I have a resource here. It's called the Advanced Oil Magic book. And I was just looking through it again when I was preparing this, and it's got a little section on emotions and energy. And, that's another way that you can help. And it not only supports you and yourself emotionally, but it also helps the other people around, that are getting the benefit from the aromatherapy. So, just figuring out what these little healthy relationship habits are that are going to make you feel comfortable in your own skin and in your relationships. And then that in turn helps the people in your circle to do the same, so that you're not constantly running stressed, worried, frustrated. Um, there's a lot of things when we're in relationships, especially with younger children in the home. Sometimes people feel like they're carrying more of the load than the other person is, and we've got to get to a place where we focus on being neutral in some of that, so that we don't kind of sabotage what's going on in our families. I mean, there are times when we need to speak up, but there's also times when we just can utilize a little bit of that neutral thinking and just focus on ourselves and supporting ourselves. And then we will naturally be feeling better and able to support others. when it comes to those connections and relationships. And I'd like to have both of you discuss a little bit about how self-reflection and self-acceptance. So we talked about self-care. So doing things to support you, using essential oils, um, going for a run, going to get your hair done. What are the self-reflection and the self-acceptance is sort of something internal. And so I'm wondering what you would like to share on those by incorporating some of these habits that we're talking about that focus more on the inner person. Who would like to go first?
I'm trying where I want to go with this. Go ahead, Kim.
Oh, okay. I was pointing. Okay. Well, I certainly believe that self-reflection is important. I do believe a lot of times people repeat their history. Either A, they don't know their history, or they don't understand their history. Self-reflection gives us an opportunity to reflect on our history. So we don't repeat anything that's not working for us, and we repeat the things that do. So I like to take an inventory, excuse me, of the things that have worked daily or weekly, the glows or the grows, areas that we feel like we really glowed in. If somebody said you did this very well, or we felt really positive in a certain space or doing certain things. And if there's an area we felt challenged and we could have done better, we can use that self-reflection to take an inventory of that. And
Mm.
so, and by the time we get to that other part, Cindy, self-reflection, what was the other one?
Oh,
Self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance, yes. That's part of my cap. I do believe a lot of times as women, we will hold on to things. We hold on to comments, experiences, things that people have said, and we don't let it go. We accept the things that we can change, and we give ourselves permission to accept and let go of the things that we cannot change. Accepting that we are enough. We are amazing. Just showing up in this room with our heartbeats. That is absolutely amazing, and just accepting how we show up at any given time in any moment. That is an amazing thing.
Yes, very good. I love that. And how about you, Kim?
I really love what Kim Wilson said there about reflecting on how can I what went wrong, because if we don't learn from our mistakes, then yeah, we're just going to keep repeating them, right? Um, and one of the areas where I think self-reflection is also important, but a lot of times we talk about the cycles. We're constantly having the same types of arguments. We're falling into the same conflict patterns. It may not be an argument, it could just be living with this particular type of tension and going through this routine over and over again. And one of the things that I like to talk about here too is how do you figure out which part belongs to you? And this is where the self-reflection comes in, because I always say in any conflict, even if your partner is 99.99999% to blame, there's going to be that point something that could be yours, right? And let's be honest, very often the tensions cannot escalate if one person refuses to participate in it. One of the ways for you to stop participating in the crazy is when you take the time to self-reflect on, what do I own in this situation?
Mm.
What behavior is mine that I can change? Because that's the behavior I can control. Can't control his or her behavior. I can control mine. So if I take the time to reflect on what's going on, take ownership of my part of it, and then decide to make changes there, then that will have a knock-on effect on how that pattern proceeds or stops at that point, right? And then the self-acceptance part. Well, maybe in a particular situation, you have a very strong justification for being the way that you are, or responding the way in which you're responding. Now, I'm not saying that, it's never okay to respond with unkindness. It's never okay to respond with disrespect, to respond with aggression.
Mhm.
But maybe you're very committed and you're not going to back down on a particular stand. Own it. So accept that this is your boundary, right? This is where
Mhm.
you need the boundary to be, and it's okay.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That is powerful, what both of you said. And really, what it's about is taking responsibility for creating an environment that supports emotional well-being among those that are in our circle or our sphere of influence. And that makes it easier for us to engage in healthier, more fulfilling relationships because we understand that there are things where we can let it go. There are things that we just want to stop that cycle, like you've talked about, both of you have mentioned, and being able to just create an environment where we are supporting emotional well-being. And I think that is one of the biggest takeaways from today's session is that there are so many different ways for us to create an environment that supports emotional well-being. So I don't know if we have anyone on here that's asked any questions. I don't see any questions at the moment. So why don't we just sort of, um, I guess, finish up our little discussion on the love connection with each of you offering a tip based on what you, because this group I feel like is full of high achievers. So people that are just high achieving, they have lots of personal expectations and things for themselves and for their relationships. So maybe you could just offer a tip or two on what to do if you're one of those people. And you've already touched on that when we mentioned, sometimes we have to own it. And so there's times when we put those boundaries in. So maybe if you could give us sort of just a closing tip on some of the something you feel like that's come to mind to finish up this discussion, and then also share with them how they can get in touch with you and learn more about what each of you do in your own areas of expertise. All right. So who went first last time? I forget.
Oh, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, okay. I think one closing tip, I always like this expression, act with intention, but it goes beyond that, right? It's also the idea that if there's a situation in your relationship that you want to change, very often I hear, people want to feel close again. They want to have those deep conversations, laugh together, get lost in long, warm hugs. Okay, fine. But you're afraid to initiate, you're afraid to ask. You want your partner to just know that's what you want. And when I talk about acting with intention, if that's what you want, if that's what you feel you need, don't be afraid to initiate it. Somebody has
Mm,
to start. And if you're here and these are
mm,
the
mm,
things
mm.
that are bothering you and that you want to see changed, initiate the change. I'm not telling you it's going to work magic. It, it's better than sitting back and waiting for something to happen and growing in resentment that it's not happening.
Yeah, that is a great tip. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, Kim Wilson.
Yeah, I use this framework that I have called the CAP. Be intentional about keeping on your thinking cap, and that's the acronym for confidence, acceptance, and positivity. If there's a crack or tear in any one of those, we can certainly struggle in the relationship with ourselves and others. That confidence is all about believing in yourself because sometimes we are requesting from others what we are not giving to ourselves. So walking into that relationship and sitting inside of that relationship, chin up, shoulders back. That acceptance work is accepting the things that we can change and letting go of the things that we can't. And to attach that to the word Kim used, that ownership, accepting what we own. That's where our power is, our position of power. And that P, be sure to engage in those positive behaviors, activities. That can be anything from gratitude, using boundaries, being present, excuse me, and aromatherapy. That's a tool that helps us to operate in a positive, excuse me, I don't know. First it was the bean shell, and now it's something else. Oh my God. And if somebody wants to get in touch with me, please visit my Instagram, Kim Wilson LPC, or my website, www.kimwilsonspeaks.com.
Very good. And we'll be putting the links below this chat too. And this will also be put up on YouTube. So I'll have the links in there too. And then how about you, Kim? How do people can get in touch with you?
Sure. Instagram is also a great place for me, and it's at Kim Ken De Silva, or right here on Facebook. Send me a message
Yeah.
and I'll get in contact.
Wow, ladies, thank you so much for sharing these. And I just want to encourage people that are listening, either they were watching live or maybe you're catching the replay now, to pick one or two of these that you would like to put into practice consistently. And because I do feel like it's the daily repetition that's going to help you to internalize what you're wanting to, I guess, bring into your life. And so I thank each one of you for being on here and for sharing. And it is really super cool to have two relationship coaches. Woo! So, like I said, I am going to put your links, and you're welcome to get in the group and put your links down below for us to connect. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will talk to you next time. Bye bye.